Good morning, folks. Being a bit fancy today, and I might regret this. Sorry, shout out from my mug. I've been fiddling around with this OBS broadcaster during the week and seeing what other clever things you can do to it. Topic of the little rant today is the police force. There's a couple of things that have happened this past week which have really wound me up a great deal around how the police force, which is supposed to operate by consent and by the permission of the people in which they're supposed to help us maintain the law, interpreting the law and being really quite biased against women. The first one was, let's see if this works, pop this up, there we are. First one is, yes, I subscribe to Glenner and I think he's terrific, and if you don't like Glenner, fair enough, but this is pretty factual. Jenny Swain. Earlier this week we gave summary of the case of Jenny Swain, a disabled woman who was arrested, held in a cell for several hours, her home searched, phone and other items seized, and then released at 3:30 in the morning to find her own way home, allegedly. Now, a bit of a background to this. The lady in question is disabled and actually has to get around on a mobility scooter, and she's also bipolar, and has to take medication to make her maintain sort of her stability and her good mental health. And the police had her in. First of all, they took her in a van down to the police station. There was nowhere suitable for her mobility scooter to go, or she couldn't stay seated on it. So she had to come off the mobility scooter and lie down flat in the back of a van with her mobility scooter next to her while she was taken to the police station, which I think is just a little bit humiliating. And I really don't think that anyone should be subjected to that kind of treatment. Secondly, when she got there, it was like, if I was home, I'd be taking my medication. Please, can I get my medication? No, they wouldn't allow her to send for and take her medication while she is in the police station because they didn't know what it was for, and so she was potentially left with worsening mental health in the, I believe, 8 or 10 hours that they actually had her captive. So there's a really good post on this on Glenna's website for you to go through the details, not just of how Jenny Swain herself was treated, but actually the probable source of the complaints against Jenny, which led to the police taking such an interest. And this person is a biological male. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Honestly, shit, Sherlock, a trans-identified biological male fomenting against a woman for stickering. Yeah, shocker, eh? But if you read through the story, the police really have fucked up. So this person has a history to themselves of some quite serious mental health issues. They claim to have a form of multiple personality disorder, where their core central psychological profile can occasionally not be in control of their own body. They can be subsumed into the background by other personalities that inhabit their head, which may then do things that person's central personality character is not aware of, and they can come back into control some hours, days, or in a quoted instance 2 weeks later, not knowing what they've done. And in this case, there's some very disturbing sexual assault allegations around what this person may have done while they claim to not be in control of their own body. And they are just a very unsavoury person overall. I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not medically trained in that field. I do have major depressive disorder, which I've been treated for professionally and medically and clinically for about 8 years now, and I'll be on medication for the rest of my life, and my mental health is extremely good. But it doesn't look like this person is in much of an active pursuit of help for their mental state, from what I have read so far. I would love to be proved wrong, and that's the other reason they scare me, because if you know you've got a serious mental health condition and you're not actively pursuing help for it, then it is your responsibility if you harm those around you. That's just my personal opinion. Anyway, moving on. The whole thing centres on an allegation of this nice lady, Jenny Swain, was effectively putting up stickers in and around her hometown. I'll just scroll down and see if there's an example of the stickers she was putting. No, that's his. That's this nice biological male stickers. That's what he puts around. So he does this, and the police force don't seem to mind. Shut the fuck up, TERF, and guns, and fuck off, TERF scum. They seem quite happy about that. They haven't taken him into custody. I really wish I prepared better beforehand. Anyway, her stickers were really just around how 3 women on average are murdered every week by males, and it was drawing attention to that fact. It is alleged that this biological male, Layla Stokes, made complaints about the stickering, and that's what led to the police arresting and taking Jenny into custody, because he was claiming that there was razor blades and glass being put behind the stickers, and people could be hurt themselves by trying to take the stickers off. So there's various awful aspects around this. Since when did you arrest someone for stickering? Since when did you rifle through someone's house for stickering? Since when did you confiscate books from someone's house that coincidentally happen to be about feminism from someone's house for stickering? And since when do you take someone who is female, is disabled and relies on a mobility scooter, and releases them at 3:30 in the morning to make their own way home? Have you any idea the danger that they were putting that woman in at risk of attack on her way home? At the very least, you could have got a bloody taxi and paid for it yourselves and made sure she was sent home safely. I completely understand if she didn't want to be driven home by the police, to add to the trauma she'd suffered, but at the very least you could get her a taxi and make sure she was home okay. It's just ridiculous. So that's one thing that's got my back up. Thankfully, this has been taken up by We Are Right Cop. There is currently a crowdfunding page being put together by We Are Fair Cop to take Gwent Police, who are the guilty party, as far as I'm concerned, behind this mistreatment of a woman, and they're going to be taking them a civil action to court, and well deserved. I think the pages are up for 5 days. If you go to We Are Fair Cop on Twitter, you'll find the link. I've donated. If you're able to, please donate as well, because I think this is the only way that we are going to get the institutionally captured police forces around the country to stop this fuckwittery and go back to policing by consent. This is just outrageous. And then I woke up this morning to another story which made my hackles rise. So Nicola Murray runs a charity for women who have experienced pregnancy loss through domestic abuse, i.e. women who've lost their baby because they've been battered by the male partners they're with and are traumatised and need to escape to a safe place. She has put a statement out a couple of weeks ago that unfortunately the charity that she looks after is no longer able to refer people in the Lothian region to Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre. If you didn't know, we've got 3 pictures there. That Nicola herself on the left there. Let's see if this works. So there's Nicola. There's the nice policeman ruffling through her stuff. The person on the right hand side, if you're not already aware, please go and do some googling. They're called Midro Wadwar, and that is the person who is the CEO of Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, and they are a biological male who identifies as trans but does not have a gender recognition certificate. So in every aspect of the law in Scotland, they are biological male. And they are also, do not fall under as I understand it, they do not fall under the protected characteristic of gender reassignment in the Equality Act, because they have made no substantive move towards changing their identity. If anyone has other information on that, have they actually changed their driver's licence? Have they changed their passport? I've looked, can't find evidence for that, love to be corrected. But at the moment we have a biological male in charge of Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, and several women have said they would not be able to go and seek help from ERCC because of that. They would end up having a biological male in a place where they would be seeking refuge from trauma and from abuse. And I completely get that. So Nicola, who's head of Brodie's charity, saying that she won't refer women to ERCC anymore, was apparently enough to get her a little visit from the police, believe it or not. And this is what has just gasted my flabber this morning. I'll read this out. Founder of a charity supporting women who have suffered domestic abuse has been interviewed by police after she was reported for hate crime after stressing its female-only services. Nicola Murray was left shocked and panicky when detectives arrived at her door after an online announcement by Brodie's Trust it would no longer refer women to Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre for reasons I've just outlined her. And this is the real kicker. Why are the police there? One of the officers said to her, "We need to speak to you to ascertain what your thinking was behind making your statement." None of your business. In case people don't know, there's hate crime legislation new in Scotland here, which does cover several protected groups of people from being targeted for abuse through digital and traditional channels. And surprise, surprise, gender identity is one of the protected characteristics, but sex is not a protected characteristic. So if you're a woman claiming that you are being abused because you're a woman, you have no protection at all under this hate crime legislation. But if you're a biological male with no GRC and no legal right to be called female, and you don't like how someone is talking about you publicly, you can now set the police on them and basically use the threat of police action to shut down any communication. So I don't think we've got the same avenues up in Scotland for taking legal action against the police in the same way that Gwent police are being taken to court by We Are Right Cop. But I think we need to make sure that everyone knows about this case with Nicola Murray. We need people to know that the Scottish police are interviewing women merely for stating their sex-based rights under the Equality Act, where it is perfectly legal to have safe spaces and single-sex services only for one biological sex with the intent of safeguarding and of preventing harm. And I would say a rape crisis centre or a charity for battered women falls under that good intention. I would love to know why the police think it doesn't. Because in my personal opinion, the police are completely ideologically captured up here. We also saw that with Marion Miller, pinning some ribbons to a fence, and she got threatened to be dragged through the courts by the police as well, until it was dropped because of public attention. So please go and find out more about the story of Nicola Murray and Brodie's Trust, and let's all do our absolute best to embarrass the police into stopping this stupid action. Thank you very much. That is my occasional rant for the day. Over. Go and enjoy your afternoon. Thank you.